It's February 1st, 2022. And I'm watching today sporadically. I've tried taping on the antiquated DVR in Linda's room, which doesn't work the same. It's a remote DVR, even though it's only a few feet away. I think they charge less money a month for it, so they never upgrade it, but whatever. So, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this edition on Channel 4 today, which I think they use the Rings and the Peacock as their whatever in New York. They mentioned something I was not able to catch fast enough with the remote on DVR, even though I tried. And so I can't overlay parlay it. However, it mentioned something very disturbing. Now, I don't have a yellow member or a yellow filter member that I have physicality contact with, like a big brother to bounce like Citadel level, like navel yellow, navel orange. I don't have Citadel citrus level contacts. However, I do know that there is specific flag regulations that certain very serious members of some society, I have no name for because I'm not a part of them, we haven't met yet, because they've been a little busy. They have flag regulations in the United States of America, Northern Hemisphere, lower 48 to Canada, lower 48 states to Canada, between East Atlantic and Western Pacific. Now, there was some mayor, Mayor, in some town that put up a Pan-African flag, Panafrican, in some movement. I don't know what they were mentioning. It involved a flag pole, and it involved a red stripe going horizontal, then a black stripe, then a green stripe in this, whatever it is, for the first day of Black History Month. And it was someone who could be confused and misannounced as familial to myself. But that would be a gross overstatement because his actions and my necessity do not align philosophically. So that's a problem because I do not know why a mayor would take such action as to raise a flag of another nation inside a nation that already has specific familial guidelines and regulations, and strictly enforceable ones at that, based on its need to protect itself from whatever is trying to eat its way into the safety and security of the Northern Hemisphere territory, which is currently I feel it's under attack personally by several methods. So that's a problem because it was a white-looking mayor in a area with a flagpole is the key there, with a flag that does not match the red, white, blue unity flag with the stars. So that's, I don't know what that particular red, white, blue with stars means, but that is the one that the service members of the United States of America have agreed upon as their unity flag in preserving something which at the moment I'm very confused about. I feel like if there was first class, second class, third class for regimen, I'd be in, like, I don't want to admit it, but my person, just my person, not the other people I haven't met yet, but for myself, I feel like I've been trapped or imprisoned in some zero class, like, really scary place. Then I'm listening to something about HBCU bomb threats. And I'm thinking about this Pan-African thing because now there's bomb threats against supposedly something to do with that. And then I'm thinking about someone's announced retirement and some trumped up news that they blurted out saying about voting machines. And I am wondering to myself, how are they tracking internally their own bad statistics and misled missions? Like, are they leading themselves down a dangerous path? And are the head coaches able to, like, protect themselves, their families, one another from all of these really powerful voices they've created through some innocent, false narrative that they've got massive fan bases with? So that frightens me. And then I hear the statistic in New York of, they were like, they said, and if I miss the majority of what I'm saying, it's not an exact quotation, but it's and it's not an embellishment. Whatever the numbers are on the one side is what January reported in this one non-essential, the name hospital in New York City. They played it on the news earlier on Channel 4. They had one set of numbers which were incredibly inflated on COVID cases. And then they sent in the National Guard, which I don't know, it didn't look like one nation's guard. It looked like a whole array of different guard. And then with that one thing done, or one action taken, the numbers went down, were being reported with a 79% decrease in COVID cases. And I'm sitting to myself here and I'm going, 79% between the hospital reporting on its own without any big brother, we'll call it, watching the numbers. And then all of a sudden, a mixed differential goes in of all sorts. And all of a sudden, the numbers of reported cases drastically decreases by 79%. Now, is that the false reporting information goes down by 79%? With some kind of oversight body or some kind of clearing up miscommunication or overstepped boundaries, perhaps? Because I'm thinking, why would the New York City hospitals overcharge the death results or overreport the death results, like overstating their boundaries? And then I get a call from the only person who calls me to actually speak that seems interested in how, if I'm alive or not. And I walked through my concern and my curiosity with those numbers, and I'm like, it almost feels like there's different sections of truth. They're all overlapping one another a little, but one has its own rule book and guidelines, another one, and I'm like, and then there's me. I never got a copy of all of the different rule books or guidelines that could possibly affect me, my children, my future, my abilities, or that might be whatever, and then put me in a more dangerous. I said, it's really fascinating. I said, because I hear sometimes these broad generalizations, almost like somebody calls the public, it's like, okay, we're working on something, but this is what you're going to say about that, which is like this broad, but then I hear it for so long, I see things get worse, and then I actually look in this world around me for what now is caught on, like, just, I don't know if that's rhetoric. I don't know what to call it. Really, I don't. But I also don't know how to spell it. I also don't know where it originated from in etymology. But I'm like, it's just an interesting how these things catch on, rumor mill wise. And then you wait so long on your good conscience that somebody bigger and more professional is taking care of it. And then you just see things, lack of a better word, go sideways. And then it just feels like you just keep dropping through some floor. Like you used to be important on a shelf, and now all of a sudden you just, I don't know. I also describe, like, health-wise, what I feel like at the moment is like an air bubble, or with an inclusion in it. That would be myself. But almost like if you looked at oil and water on like a petri dish with like a large section of oil, large section of vinegar, and then an inclusion of an air bubble in one section, and some change is happening to the other section, and putting undue pressure on the inclusion that I'm currently functioning within, because it's not something in it. I mean, it is something internally that is changing my pH level, which I described as like an a static electric charge, like the kind when you rub your feet on a carpet and then accidentally touch someone or a doorknob and you scare yourself. But it's not. I mean, it's a lighter, softer, whatever. So I feel like that's what I'm experiencing inside of this occlusion. But I don't know if I'm in the oil or the vinegar side. And I don't know what is pushing on the air bubble I'm in, making the breathing more difficult in pressure changes between the seen and the unforeseen. But that again is making exercise and ability to move freely within an environment difficult as well. Added complications linguistically, also don't want trans aggression taken on my person because somebody thought it was one thing, or I was double talking, or the spinster department got it wrong. I mean, it gets really complicated. And it's just like, I. But that's the messages on the television and teleportation that everybody's throwing through Channel 4 and Channel 7 mostly. And then Channel 2 in the morning. It's star 1978, star 8378. It's Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And then the question becomes like, there's been such a massive reputation of these reputable people playing sports and so on and so forth, but their networks could be dangerous if the message is spoken of wrong, or if they somehow have some internal fight and then no longer want to follow directions. How does one investigate that level of quiet terror that will affect other people? I don't know. Are there systems in place for that? I don't know how the private world works.